Good morning, nation. John here. Hopefully, y'all like the new intro. I just flashed it up a little bit. It's the same intro. I just went in and tweaked it, I guess you would call it, and all that. And I wanted to show it to you folks here on the backup channel that have been here all week before we debut that tomorrow morning on our main channel. So we are no longer under Skynet house arrest. All right, we're paroled, son, but I'm out in the woods until this afternoon. So there's no way I could, post brand new content this morning. I'm too far out, too far away from cell phone coverage and all that. I mean, it just wouldn't work. So I wanted to pre-record this, and we're going to talk about an important topic this morning. I wanted to thank everybody really quickly. Number one, for being at Shotgun Saturday night last night. You folks rock. As soon as I get home, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to look at the live chat. I always do that. And number two, thank you for helping me hold the line this week. All right. I've been trying to do my best not to comply, not to take a knee to Skynet. We know why we're over here. They threw us over here in the corner so we would shut up for a little while so we would comply and get back in line. We talked about that earlier this week, and I'm just not going to do it. And I appreciate you folks having my back on that. I really do. I see the comments. Thank you very much. Total grid down situation is a possibility in today's world. You'll hear that here at Prepper Nation. You will hear that at other prepping channels and in other communities, okay? It is a 100% guarantee that at some point the grid is failing somewhere. Now, whether this is going to be from an EMP, whether it's going to be because we have, just a patchwork grid in place in many places, like last year when we saw Texas, they have a self-contained grid and it just completely failed on them. It could be from cyber attacks and hacks, things of this nature. At some point in this country, I promise you, a certain area, hopefully not the entire country at one time, but a certain area or certain areas will be affected. This is a certainty, okay? And a lot of people say, well, this is fear porn, and, you're just throwing out a scary number to get people on board. Look, I didn't make the number up, okay? It's estimated. And again, folks, an estimate, but it is estimated that 90% of the affected population in an area with no grid, within a year and a half, they're going to be dead. And there are many factors that lead to this. You know what I mean? Like their phone doesn't die and they just like go out in the yard and lay in the yard and say, take me now. I'm done, son. The grid's down. That's not what happens. Okay. So we're going to talk about those factors this morning and why they are, number one, very scary, but also number two, very real. These factors are real. Okay. So what are we going to lose when the grid fails? And again, this is probably not going to be nationwide. Even in a world war scenario, for example, if an EMP goes off, it might hit over a city and it might affect the outlying rural areas. It's not going to cover the entire United States, not unless it is a massive attack all at once. So how's this going to affect people? Well, you're going to lose water. In almost every instance, you need some sort of electricity in order to move water, whether it's tap water, well water, whatever the case, city water. I know here in this particular area, if we lose power, there's like I guess it's a generator or a backup system that kicks on, and it'll go for a few hours. But after that, it just goes down and there's nothing. You can't get any, kind of tap water or anything. And people start freaking out and they start blitzing the stores looking for, jug water, bottled water. You know how it goes. People that aren't prepped, they tend to panic. So you're going to lose the ability to get the water that you need if it's not already prepped, okay? Rain catchments that we're talking about on the channel, there are all kinds of different rain catchments. This can be something as simple as hanging a tarp off of, the pitch of the roof and running it into a storage barrel or something like this to be filtered later. I mean, it's very crude, but it would work. There are much more elaborate systems if you have the time and the money. This is going to help you avoid that, but most people do not have the ability to catch their own water. Maybe you're in an area where it's quote unquote illegal. That's totally up to you. Food, all right? So when the grid goes down, I want you to think about this from the perspective of someone that would live in a city. Where does their food come from? If you live in a major urban area, urban center, let's say you live in, DC or New York City, you really don't have a ton of people that have homesteading gardens. There's just not enough room, right? People are stacked on top of each other as it is. It's a concrete landscape. You can garden in the city to a degree, I guess, if you have a deck or a balcony or something like that. But most people are not doing it. They're not going to do it. They're wholly dependent upon food being delivered to grocery stores, the corner markets and things that they can just walk in, pay an insane amount, get a loaf of bread, get some beans, whatever your fancy is, son. That's what people are used to. And that is going to present a problem if the grid fails. Because number one, these stores, by and large, are not going to be open for business. They're not going to be able to handle the financial transactions. And number two, they're going to be looted, I believe. I believe history shows us that when people go into panic mode, they begin to loot. And so there's only going to be so much at your corner market to begin with. And it's not like it's going to be getting replenished. So once it's gone, it's gone. Food is a huge, huge concern. Something else I would think about would be medicine. Not only the ability to manufacture medicine, because that takes power, right? That takes electricity. But the same thing that applies to your corner markets is going to apply to your drugstores. They can't pull up any kind of information. They can't do any sort of transaction. Sure, you can pay in cash, right? But how are they going to get on a computer and punch you in and find you in the computer and figure out who has what prescription? The medications become a nightmare at that point. They might be able to establish some sort of a temporary working system, but long term, like in the case of an EMP or something, medications are completely off the table, okay? And as I mentioned before, looting becomes a huge problem if the grid fails. If you notice these peaceful protests that always happen in, urban areas, your Seattle, I think it's been happening now in Minneapolis, your Portland, Atlanta. They typically happen late evening and nighttime. Criminals like to work in the dark. They like to do things without being seen. And that's going to be a lot easier if the grid is down. So nighttime is essentially off the table for you. If you're an honest person, you don't want to be out at night. It's too dangerous. And again, the looting is going to affect everything around you. It's going to make things dangerous. And again, it's going to severely compromise the resources around you, the food and the water, etc. Okay. So one of the biggest problems, I don't want to say the biggest, one of the biggest, when it comes to the grid failing, is the supply line completely stops. Okay, so if you're a homesteader, at this point, you can continue to produce your own food. You already know what you're doing. You got chickens, you got eggs, you got goats, pigs, whatever. What did Six Shooter call them something? Six Shooter, if you're in the chat, brother, let me know. He called the pigs something the other day. Bacon something. And I bust out laughing. I got that text, I just started laughing, but you get it. Homesteaders can produce their own food, all right? People that do not homestead do not have this ability. So if you're a prepper, not a homesteader, you probably have a lot of food stored up. You probably have emergency survival food, or MREs. This is going to get you through for a while until it runs out, obviously. But for the most part, people are not prepped. And this is going to lead to complete and total chaos. They're going to need water. They're going to need food. People that are on all of these, antidepressants and all these other miracle drugs they can no longer get them at the pharmacy. These people are going to be out at night causing complete chaos. So the looting is a huge issue, and that's going to unfortunately affect the supply line. The trucks don't know where to go. They can't get the gasoline to go. The stores aren't open to accept the deliveries. And now, of course, with the looting we were just talking about, now it's not safe anyway. The supply line collapses, and that's bad. That is going to cause most of the death in that area. All right. Your points of sale would be the way to put it. Your storefronts. This is every store that I can think of. This is, again, your corner markets, your pharmacies, your doctor's offices, your DMV offices, everywhere. I want you to think about this for a second. The police are out and about. They're behind a suspicious vehicle. Now they can't even look into the database that I'm aware of when the grid is down and pull up a tag or something like that. So they are basically flying blind on some of their calls. And that's if they can get the gasoline, guys. It's just a catastrophic nightmare. No fuel. Think about it. We just went through a fuel shortage. It lasted like a week. People were rushing out. They were panicking. They were hitting each other, cursing each other. Now imagine a situation where gas stations were completely full of fuel, but you can't get it out of the ground, right? The pumps, in most cases, are electronic. If there's some out there that aren't electronic, I've never seen one. On TV, maybe. But, fuel is a huge concern. You're not going to be able to get fuel for your vehicle. You're not going to be able to get fuel for generators at that point. Just anything and everything you need fuel for is, once you run out of your reserves, is completely off the table. No deliveries. A lot of people nowadays, they rely on like Amazon and Grubhub and Walmart.com. I'm still old school. I still do eBay, son. That stuff's not coming anymore. The grid fails. The post office is out of the way. They're not going to be able to track things. They're not going to be able to deliver things. It's over. At that point, you have what you have. Bringing us finally to the internet and the phone that just dinged on me. My wife's dinging me, son. The internet and the phone system completely gone. Try and imagine what the world was like, and I'm old enough to remember, some of you may be as well, what the world was like before the internet. And now take a look at how dependent we are on the internet. I can't take my dog to the vet without them pulling everything up on the internet, right? I can't go into a restaurant without them using some sort of internet or Bluetooth device to tell me, hey, your table's ready. It's just so interconnected and dependent upon the internet now. If the internet goes bye-bye, can people live without it? Yes. But not if you factor in no gas, no electricity, severe shortage of water and food. All these things combined to create a monster that most people are not going to be able to live through. And then the cell service. You will basically, if the grid fails in your area, okay, you're basically stuck with what you have prepped, and you're basically landlocked into your immediate area. Because if you travel out of that immediate area, it's going to be on foot and it's not going to be safe. And you're not going to find what you're looking for anyway, because all those places have been looted. So your best option at that point is kind of to bunker in and hope that you have enough stuff. So anyway, that's total grid down situation, guys. And it's not fantasy land. It is possible. Ask someone that was in Texas last year. They will tell you how quickly things roll downhill once the grid fails. All right, folks. So tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to be back on the main channel, God willing. And most of the people at the nation have no idea that we have been in Skynet jail. So it's going to be a longer premiere, as I'm going to have to apologize and explain to those folks what's been going on the last week. Over here on the backup channel, we're still going to do the history every week, and I'm going to back up the videos over here from the main channel, because I don't trust Skynet anymore. I don't trust the main channel anymore. It failed on me just like the grid might fail on other people. So just a heads up, it's going to be a little bit longer tomorrow. People are going to be like, oh my God, he added zombies to the intro. What is going on, son? But it's going to be, can't miss. I'm going to take a few shots at Skynet and the person that reported us to Skynet, because I believe I know who it is, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. All right, God bless.